Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Our agenda was we did a tour of the DPW garage to assess the maintenance on that facility and what it will require. 6 o'clock, we're going to be discussing town clerk tax collector update. 6:15, we have old and new business, and then we have a non-public session. So, town clerk tax collector update.
So, we had extended an offer to somebody to take the assistant town clerk tax collector's position, and she did accept that job. And she came over this morning, filled out the rest of the paperwork so we could start the background check process. She has given notice to her current employer, and I'm estimating that it might be about 3 weeks before everything is said and done and we get her on board. So not as fast as we'd like. She is already certified, already familiar with both the software packages, Interware and Avatar that we use in that office, so she should be able to hit the ground running. And we might have to, because of her availability, might have to adjust some of our schedule to the public. But right now, it's about the best option that we have, and we'll have to see what happens with the tax collector, town clerk tax collector herself, and what her availability is going to be moving forward.
Can you refresh my memory what the hours that she had available?
So she is available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other week, and potentially Tuesday in the off week, in the off cycle week for us. She did mention to me that in her current town, she occasionally works. They do the last Saturday of the month, for example, to make it convenient for people for vehicle renewals. So that might be something that she would be able to do for us if our town clerk was so inclined to adopt those hours.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other week,
Right.
and maybe Tuesday during
in
the
the off week.
off
Right.
week. Okay. And then possibly one Saturday a month.
Right.
I think that would be convenient if we could make that work.
I know we
Yeah.
used to, I think we used to either do a Friday or a Saturday, the last
I
Friday or
remember
Saturday of the
Lucy
month.
used to be open on Saturday.
Yeah.
Used to come up here in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, I think when Cindy was here, it was either the last Friday or last Saturday of the month, she would be open as well. So it's not out of the realm.
That would be good.
So, and as far as, in the meantime, until those 2 or 3 weeks go by, we're still gonna be in the mode of identifying the schedule week by week. And I know that's not necessarily inconvenient for the public, but we're trying to keep the website up to date so people can see what the days are gonna be for the upcoming week. And we're trying to make it as convenient as possible. But again, we have limited resources here, and the person that's doing that position right now is doing 2 other jobs as well. So we have luckily a resource that's willing to step up.
So those are posted on the website, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, but, Debbie and I will sit either Thursday or Friday this week, look at next week, and see what schedule she has and what land use department commitments she has, and then decide, what days might be available to sit in the town clerk's office.
How is that working out? Because I haven't really seen long lines. I did see 2 people, I think, today. So is it working, or is it the monthly?
So today was an interesting day. So Debbie texted me at 7:45 this morning saying that a line was already forming outside the building, and yet we posted hours for 9 a.m. open.
Oh,
So she texted me, and she was here, so she says, do you mind if I open at 8? And I said, fine, if they're, get a jump on the line. And honestly, it started off with the line, fairly long, probably about 9 or 10 people long outside the building, not to mention what was in the lobby. And by lunchtime or a little after, it was down to maybe only 1 or 2 people standing outside the building, and she eventually caught up. So that she actually had a little bit of a breather now and then in the afternoon. And we don't know whether to read it that, the way it's been the last couple of weeks is that there's just been a huge pent-up demand for, between absentee ballots and registering cars and things like that, the lines literally have been 3 hours long at points. So today, she was pretty much able to, in the afternoon, keep up with the flow as it was coming.
mm-hmm.
And she was actually able to get out of here most of the time today. Now, we have her scheduled for 8 a.m. to noon on Thursday, and, we'll see if that holds true when Thursday gets here, or whether we're gonna be back to long lines again. We don't know how to interpret today yet. We don't have enough data to be sure that we're as caught up as we might think we are.
I'll let her know I say thank you for helping us out in this difficult situation we're in, and
Yeah,
she certainly has stepped up.
absolutely.
Yeah. On the deliberative session minutes, I saw your email today. Did she reply?
She has not replied, and, it's unfortunately a gating factor in our ability to finish the rest of our filings with DRA so we can set the tax rate. And it sounded in my last conversation with her that she was 90% done with them.
Mm-hmm.
And my request to her today is if she is not able to finish them, just give me what she has, and I'll figure out a way to get the rest done and upload it to the DRA site.
Who has the tape from the recording?
She does.
She has.
She has.
And is that the one that I think you had said Ron's video died or something?
Right, so Ron had some technical issues with his video the night of the deliberative session. Luckily, Lori had brought the small tape recorder, so we were able to tape the rest of the session that way. So that's what Jess is using to develop the deliberative session minutes. But, they were due to DRA 6 months ago, so we're well behind. And now it's impacting our ability to set our tax rate and get tax bills out for December. So it's at a critical point.
I'm just trying to think of what need to be in those minutes. Is it the changes that have been made at the deliberative session only?
So you have to really document all the warrant articles and then any amendments to the warrant articles.
Okay.
And what the vote was. It should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah. But I mean, if we had to develop that in our town report,
Well, that's,
do we?
so we might be able to go back and reconstruct it.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
And that's
Trying to think
honestly
of
the
a way of
point I'm
doing
at, believe me, I
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
town report out looking at it already, thinking about how, if we had to reconstruct that.
Yeah.
Or just give me the tape recorder so that I can,
See, what I think what's gonna be difficult is knowing, at least from my memory, of who made
write the motion.
the motions and
Exactly.
whatnot. That's gonna be the,
Well, I think there was really only one that was amended, and I know who made the motion.
but who seconded it, and, you know, when they sign their name on it. You know, that's what I'm thinking is,
Yeah.
unless we had that.
So, but, anyway.
Okay.
She hopefully will be in sometime tomorrow. We're not sure about that, but if she is, then we'll try to sit with her and see what we can do to rectify this situation.
Yep.
LED streetlight?
Microfilm.
Yeah, so I reached out to Affinity, our rep at Affinity, because by now I thought we were gonna have a schedule for the pre-meeting or kickoff meeting for this project, because they're supposed to be starting it in early November. And I have not heard back from them. I did send him out another reminder today asking what the status of the meeting was so that we can get things going. They're also supposed to be dropping off about 40 totes full of fixtures for us to store in the DPW garage during the project. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that, so you know what the status is, and hopefully we'll get that moving forward quickly. Their obligation was to start the project sometime in November, and depending on whether they have the way the contract's written, they have until March to complete it. But I'm hoping that once they get going, that they'll be able to complete it hopefully before the first of the year if we're lucky.
You have the boiler, the fire department boiler replacement.
Right, so, I had sent everybody out a copy of all the proposals. I don't know if you're ready to make a decision to move forward on that tonight.
Thought we had mentioned to have Doug wait.
I thought that was just for this building.
DL suggested looking into condensing boilers, and I thought we were gonna have, ask Doug to confirm whether that was
Okay,
the,
well, I have a call into him as well, I haven't.
okay.
But if you wanted me to have him look at the fire station, I can certainly do that.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get, I mean, figure anything, cause save a couple bucks if we get something. And like I said, what, cause you said they need the heater as well as the boiler, right? Yeah,
No,
it's
it's one of the same.
yeah,
Oh, I had seen on the proposals that somebody asked them for an ad alternate to supply a hot water heater.
Right, small hot water heater.
Well, I think they were 40 and 50 gallon tanks they were looking at, but again, I think you can come right off of the condensing boiler with a separate loop to a storage tank.
Yeah, the reason why they're looking at the option of a separate water heater is it's more efficient to have a small water heater than it is to keep heating up the whole boiler for hot water.
You're not heating up the whole, that's the whole thing with a condensing boiler, is
Yeah.
that it only heats up on need. There's no boiler jacket like you have in a larger boiler, that's why they're so much smaller.
Yeah.
And typically, like now, especially if they've got an extractor in there, where they're going to need volume of water, you normally have one of the brand names, the Superstore. It's nothing more than an insulated tank, and that is a heated loop off of your boiler to keep hot water. I think it'd be more economical than paying to run another heating device.
Okay. Well,
But
I'll
just have them look at it and.
Yeah, because those proposals weren't for the condensing units, right? Yeah.
The ones that we're looking at are, we're being told are about 40% more efficient than what's there today. But the one that's there today is over 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Police cruiser update?
So, you were aware that our new 2020 had transmission problems. And when the replacement transmission finally showed up a month later from Ford, it had a cracked case, so they couldn't use that. They had to order yet another one. It finally came in. They installed it in the car. Tim was actually in my office when Townsend Ford called and said, "Come get your car, it's all set." And when he went over, went to start the car was like running on 3 cylinders. So now they're saying it might have a coil pack problem, etc. So he basically, refused to take the car until they can straighten out whatever other issue it has on it. And it's only got 1,300 miles on it, so this is not a good sign for a new car.
Right.
So, to compound things, so as a result of not that car being out of service for going on 2 months now, maybe more, we've been using the old 2013 unit that we had originally taken out of the trade. We had to put that back into service. And the 2017 was damaged in an accident on a detail in Jaffrey. So the utility truck backed into that. So I had to file a claim with Primex to get that repaired. So we're down that car as well. So we're hoping once Body Shop gets the parts in, that it'll only take them a week to get the 2017 back on the road again. We're hoping to see the 2020 sometime soon, because we have another 2020 waiting for us down at MHQ in Marlboro, but we can't pick it up because they need the 2013 that we're using to transfer equipment out of, and we can't give them that because we need it every day. So it's just kind of a comedy of errors, so to speak, that's kind of holding things up. So, but I just want to make you aware that
Who did we buy the 2020 from?
so the 2020.
Was it MHQ who does the fit-ups?
Yes, so MHQ is kind of a clearinghouse for most of the police agencies in New England, quite frankly. I don't know, they must be a Ford dealer. They're not just a Ford dealer, I think they sell Chevys, Dodges, everything. But their specialty is just police cruisers. And so we bought it from them, but we're having it serviced at Townsend Ford just for convenience because it's next door.
I'm just wondering, should we, since they're looking for us to get the 2020
Right.
there, bring it to them and say, go to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if they actually do the warranty work for Ford there, or they make you just go to another local dealer. I'll have to ask Tim about that. MHQ.
I just don't know if it's an option, just.
Yeah, if MHQ does any post-sale support at all. But in any case, we're limping along with what we have.
And then the 2021 dental and life insurance rates.
Right, so Health Trust just sent us the rates for 2021, and they're gonna stay flat. So there's not gonna be any increase in the dental or life insurance rates going into next year. We're hoping to have probably by the end of the month cost is gonna be, for the regular healthcare plan from Harvard Pilgrim going into next year. We don't have those numbers yet, but they told me they're coming, so, we should get them soon. Some of the other towns are saying their providers are seeing a 4 to 6% increase in healthcare premiums for next year. So we'll see what Harvard Pilgrim comes back with.
Okay, I saw that email. Well, maybe. It's, regarding the rebate to Eversource. Is that a non-public? I'm thinking we can talk about it. It's,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of settled litigation at this
yeah.
point.
Mhm.
yeah. So with that, settlement, and that we give them, rebate's not the right word, but,
Abatement.
an abatement, thank
Yeah.
you. Is this something similar to Fairpoint, that they,
So I didn't have a chance to talk to Jim last night, because we were doing a job interview for the land use position. So I didn't get a chance to stick my head in the assessors meeting. I don't know whether that's something like the Fairpoint one where we can spread that amount over multiple years, or whether, the way the settlement goes is they're expecting it all in one lump sum now.
It sounded, the way he wrote the letter, it sounded like it's a one lump sum, and then next year will be an abatement plus a cash payment for the 2016 one.
Yeah.
So, and then we also, I mean, we already made the,
Because you wanna know when we're gonna cut the check.
I recall that
Yeah.
part of it, but I didn't,
And he only referenced the lump sum.
I didn't see anything about next year's.
Unless that was referencing the other case.
Road payment 2015, this was property appeal by Eversource, 2014, 15, and 16.
I think it was right at the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they'll be abating the 2020 property tax for Fairpoint Consolidated Communications, which is a refund similar to last year.
right,
So
so,
when we do the tax setting, that's when we have to make sure all of these future payments are part of that overlay.
Mhm. Yeah, cause but like you said in there, it's an abatement plus a cash payment.
right, so for Fairpoint last year, it was all cash payment because the abatement opportunity had gone by.
Right.
This, which was 35,000 and change. So this year, they abated the taxes 100%, which is, I think, is around $16,000 abatement. So that means an $18,000 and change check actually has to go out to make up the $35,000 payment for this year. And then next year we'll do the same thing, and that fulfills the whole $105,000 and change settlement for Fairpoint.
Right, the 18,000 figure he's got in here, he's saying is interest for Eversource.
Yeah, that's for Eversource.
That's for
Yeah.
Eversource, yeah.
So we still have that,
Right,
we need to make
but the
this.
abatement
Yeah.
for Fairpoint
Yeah, so-
and for Eversource for what their taxes will be next year should be part of the property evaluation number that the assessors are providing to DRA.
Correct.
Yeah, but like I said, that number that you gave us was like 80 or 90, whatever.
Yeah,
Sounds to me like it's gotta be a lump sum check, and he's expecting it to come from unanticipated fund balance.
Not unless DRA says it. My understanding there's only those three ways, otherwise we come up with that.
Unless he's thinking we're gonna have that as extra this year.
No, that's why I'm saying we've gotta find out where that. First of all, is he giving you any documentation on where these numbers are coming from?
He is not.
Yeah.
I can certainly sit with him and, go through it.
And I'm what I was curious about is we've gone through this, legal process now for years. And in the end, what was the result for the town?
So I think the original liability for the town was in the order of 343, if I remember, 343,000. And that was the original number that they were requesting. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But. So
For those, for the period of the 14 to 16?
Right.
So what happened to years 17 and 18, 19?
So, well, 19, they just started up to sue all the towns for 2019. So that's a new, I think I sent you that information a couple of weeks ago. So they filed.
Is that the one that the firm representing the towns asked us to confirm if we were going to participate again?
So that had to do with the appeal on the BTLA.
That's what I thought it
Decision.
was. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Okay.
separate. The 2019 is a whole new suit.
And on the BTLA, I thought, and this is a question, I thought we had said we weren't going to, but
Right.
let's find out.
And the
But the
assessors took the same position.
Same
that-
position,
that-
okay,
That you did,
okay,
that they weren't gonna pursue it any further, so.
okay. So that one's gone. Fairpoint is gone, other than what we need to finish
Next-
paying as
Right,
the
two
agreement.
payments, right,
And then Eversource is back to another lawsuit.
right. Right, so we're cleaning up one lawsuit, but there's another one that they just started with all the cities and towns.
So I guess in my mind is we've gotta really look at where we're coming in with the budget for this year of expenses and revenue, and if we can make it work, is making the payment out of what we have left over.
I agree.
Yeah, and I don't know how Jim is seeing it, and maybe talk to the DRA. I thought with the DRA, it's either the voters, we use it to reduce taxes, or we declare an emergency. Those were the only ways of using that unanticipated fund balance.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm wondering if he means, like I said, if he meant,
Deal?
like, not what's left for this year.
Oh. See, I took it as meaning,
And I think, like I said, I mean, if he took, yeah, he said one thing, maybe he meant another, and if, like you said, maybe he knows something that we don't. But, yeah, I didn't think we could take it out of that either.
And then the unanticipated fund balance is like all the additional, like whatever's left over from budgets and, yeah,
Yeah,
over the years.
okay,
that's what Dave, so when we proposed the police station, that was one of the places we were saying, so instead of taking out a note for X amount,
yeah,
use money from the unanticipated fund balance, and you take the loan out for Y amount, reducing that, need for borrowing.
and that's that balance that people refer to as like giving it back, cause it's just sitting there,
Right, they,
Okay.
right, yeah, they wanted to reduce their
to
taxes.
reduce the taxes.
But again, the thing is, yes, we're reducing taxes,
Mhm.
but we are reducing the taxes or the tax burden on the town people because of the school budget, not because of the town budget. The town budget hasn't moved that much, the school budget, so when they say I'm paying $27 or dollars per thousand, 19 of that's going to the school. So and the school doesn't have to give that money back.
Yeah,
They can do other things with it. So the school doesn't have to put that into an unanticipated fund balance account and use it to reduce the taxes. They're allowed to just use certain amounts of money. They don't have to follow the same rules we do. So when we take the money that's left over from our town budget and we offset the tax rate, we're not offsetting the town's portion of the tax rate. We're offsetting
the whole,
the whole thing, and it offsets the school.
yeah,
And like I said, last year we sat in that deliberative session for over 3 hours for a $2 million budget. And a $19 million budget. No one discussed a single warrant article, and the entire meeting was done in 45 minutes.
for the school,
And my concern with using the fund balance to reduce the tax is that when you take that money and you allocate it to reduce the tax, so your tax rate comes down, and then the following year, when you don't, tax rate goes back up, and people, how come my
Yeah.
tax is going up
Right.
again?
It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's a false lowering of it.
Yeah,
now didn't you do that a couple or a few years ago?
we did,
though?
and that's
Like,
when afterwards I told John I will never do that again,
Yeah.
because the town budget stayed the same. The school budget went up. We took the town fund balance,
yeah,
used it to offset the taxes, so people see it as, oh, we increased the school budget, but my taxes didn't go up.
Yeah.
yeah,
And same thing happened a few years ago. The school, so when they closed down Appleton and Central, they had capital reserve funds for those schools for repairs. And instead of finding out if they could roll that money into a new capital reserve fund for Highbridge, they gave that back to the townspeople and lowered the tax rate considerably for the school. And then they were then able to, go, oh, look, and everyone complained, well, my taxes went down, then jumped up huge the next year. And again, they sit at our deliberative session and argue about a $2 million budget. And yeah, so and we've said it more than once, is that, it's not the town budget that is hurting your pocketbook.
yeah,
It's the fact that, another budget goes unchecked. People will sit there and look at our budget line by line by line. But you open up a school budget and it's pretty, if you ever looked at the school, I mean, it's a lot. And people,
So that brings up another question. I know we're kind of off topic with this stuff, but budget season's here. Another question that was asked is, like, do we have any type of authority, like, with the school department, since we collect the money and then give it to them, like, over, like, the decisions that they make for the community, if the community at large doesn't agree with what the board does, so we have no oversight, no,
No.
so we just collect and dole out.
Yeah. If they don't like what's happening, they need to go to the school board meetings and they need to vote differently.
Mm-hmm. Alright,
Yeah, basically, the school tells us what we need to pay them, and we divide it by 12, and pay, right now, we're paying $776,000 and change a month to the SAU. It's a lot of money.
yeah,
And I found an interesting thing today, and I said I have to do research to find out how they do it. Newington, which is a affluent community, has a local school budget of 69 cents per thousand. How?
Are there any private schools up there?
I don't care if they have them all, but I mean,
No, the reason I'm asking is I know what it is there's some towns that, there's a private school in the town and all the kids are eligible to go. So it changes the budget because it's funded differently.
but being right outside of Portsmouth, and I'm saying you've got to have at least a grade school there. And how can you? So I was curious.
Interesting to look into.
Yeah, I knew Moulton Borough was another one with an extremely low. I'm saying, well, when you look at all of the summer properties up there with no kids,
Right.
that kind of makes sense.
Right.
But Newington threw a curve at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that one so low?
Yeah.
They were touting that they were the fifth lowest tax rate in the state. So I'm like,
it's gotta come from somewhere, right?
yeah, just an interesting side note. Sean, last week we spoke, I thought we were gonna have your police facility advocates here this evening, but
We'll have it queued up for next week.
for next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's.
Yep.
Is there anything of Sean specifically that they may be looking for so that I can make sure I have whatever information?
I guess it'll be how you see that, like, just be ready to answer questions on how that is to go forward, like that project. So that was it.
We still have copies of that flyer that went out in the board with the layout.
I'm wondering if it has just something to do with the dollar amount that the houses are worth in certain areas.
First thing I did was,
Really? I'm just looking at some of the,
I couldn't find anything, everything was like $350 and above. I think there was a trailer for $299 or
Right.
something. I'm like,
yeah, but that's what I mean, like, I'm just looking at the houses are gonna be high end,
yeah.
so, yeah, when
So
you're
maybe the
paying
rate's
per
low.
thousand,
Yeah. And
it's,
it's
you can
small
run it for
schools.
69 cents when the house is.
They're not that high, but I mean,
Rye is in that district.
yeah.
Yeah, so you've got, in the Newington Public School, you've got Greenland, Newington, Rye. So,
I think Rice tax rate is 10 something a thousand.
So that's what it is, lower tax rate, increased valuation, eh?
Yeah.
That's,
I'll be honest, I think that probably has a lot to do
think
with it.
so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's a tourist town. I'm sure there's lots of things to do with that as far as the number of
Well, just
seasonal
looking
businesses.
at it, I'm saying there were a lot of business
Yeah.
type things there, but I'm saying you've got land developed, so.
That, and I don't really know. We'd have to look to see what even the population of the school is too.
It's gotta be up there, it's gotta be.
Really?
There were a lot of houses on that Google Earth map.
Oh yeah, but how many of them are summer and
Occupied during the
seasonals?
school year.
Right,
Mhm.
summers and seasonals and stuff.
They didn't appear to, they are on the water, but they're not on the water. In other words, it's
Right.
not that you see, a lot of residences along,
Yeah, there's a lot of rentals there that you wouldn't think were rentals either.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people rent inland because then, you're like, oh, I'm a 3-minute drive to the beach.
yeah.
So it's just curious. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
still, yeah, 69 cents. But yeah,
Mhm.
but when your lowest house is 300, yeah, like you said, when a trailer's hitting 200, yeah, it's probably a little easier to charge per thousand on that.
Talking about the police department advocacy group, I told Sean I'd like to be a part of it.
Mhm.
Last week you went on for a bit about there's a certain, I think you called it a vocal majority.
Vocal majority or vocal minority, however, yeah, it's a
Well,
yeah.
it's obviously a majority if it accomplishes passing stuff.
Well, or not passing, and it's because when you're looking for a 2/3, so you don't
Right.
need much to say no when you need 2/3 of the vote, and you don't
need a
even.
substantial amount, and my whole thing, I would be a part of that group, and I will readily admit to being somewhat ill-informed, and I don't know if I speak for this vocal majority. I'm not a social media guy or anything like that, so. But it seems like the first proposal came out, what was it, 1.2 million?
Mhm.
Then the next one came,
No, the first one was 1.9 or 2 million, which was to put it here, a new building.
no.
Yeah, and the one
First,
over
But
there,
this-
doing this one here.
1.2 was over there.
That was,
Yeah, okay, I thought I remembered that. And this one here.
this was the
yeah,
first one, and it got shot down.
Yeah,
The second year, we went
Was
to
that.
that one,
Yeah.
and then now we're in year 4, because in year 3, we missed the deadline.
and the last proposal that came forward was how much? The bottom line.
It's
dollar.
still back to this one here, is
Yeah.
what we're
To the
doing.
one
Yeah, it was
point-
1.98, I think, is
Yeah.
the
Right.
overall cost.
Yeah, around
Mhm.
yeah.
With borrowing about 1.2.
Because when we sent out that survey for people to tell us,
Yeah.
I think it was a 3-question survey.
Mhm.
Most of them came back to say, put it on land that the town already owns, and they would like a safety complex. So,
At some point.
at some point, so that's why we kind of just showed where a fire station could fit back here with the police station as, an addition.
Everybody that I talk to, they are extremely happy with our police department right now. We feel like, and myself included, like, oh, we have a really good chief. He seems to have a good handle on the town. Nobody wants to drive him out. When it gets voted down at 1.2 million, unfortunately, there's a lot of families in this town. And yeah, people may drive nice cars and have nice houses, but a lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck. And when it goes from 1.2 to 1.9, they're like, what, didn't they hear us? 1.2 was too much. Now they want 1.9, And they're talking about doing all this other stuff. You know, make it so that you can do all this other stuff. I think the bottom line, that majority is mostly like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the dynamics of our town may change with this exodus of the city, and I think talking to a realtor, there's a lot of people eyeballing. And they're paying big bucks, so families may be moving out, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, the issue is we don't want, like you say, you don't want to drive out a police chief. We're happy with the police department we have. We're not going to have that, and that's the issue. And I'm not trying to threaten, or I'm not trying to scare. It's just the plain simple truth. We can't attract qualified, trained, or trainable police officers when they come and they look at our facility and they're like, I mean, the building they're in right now technically doesn't even have a fire exit. There's one entrance in, one entrance out. I mean, it's
I did hear that at
Yeah.
that meeting, and in my mind, when I heard them things, I'm like, seriously? You're locking a guy up to a table, and
Mhm.
he can walk out with a table.
right.
I told someone afterwards, you give me $6 worth of lag bolts, and that guy ain't walking out with a table. You give me $1,000, I'll pop in another door for you.
But the thing is,
I mean, these are the things that.
but we don't own the building, so we can't do
Right,
any of
but
those
I'm
things.
Sure, but that aside, I mean, that's old stuff.
Yeah.
My whole thing is you feel, from what you said, you feel like you have cut it to bare bones. And I don't think people agree. I
But-
remember hearing guys at that meeting, giving suggestions, you can do it cheaper, I don't know, going 2 stories.
That's
And
not,
on it goes, so
when you're
basically
only,
what my point is the money is an issue.
Right, but what they were saying is you could do it cheaper if you were only considering that price tag being the construction of a building. That price tag, the 1.9, is the complete tear down and removal of building 2,
Yeah.
the full redoing of the parking lot, entrance, exit, landscape, or it's not landscape.
it's redoing the entrance to accommodate police cruisers coming in and out with the cross traffic of people coming to the town office.
Yeah, but the full, like, redoing the groundwork, the whole thing, and building a building. So it's all those pieces together. We're not getting a $2 million police station. And that's when guys are saying, oh, we could do that for, 1.5. But they're not realizing that price tag wasn't, we're not building a $2 million police station. It's everything. That's any remediation we have for this, moving oil tanks, moving wells, moving propane tanks. That's all inclusive to do the site work. Site work, that's what I was like.
But the thing to remember, Jason, and I don't know if you were at the information meeting that we had at the high school, but somebody had gone up and said, no, why don't you bring in some local builders and see what their opinion is? Which we did. We had 7 or 8 of them come in. They've looked at the plans, we went through it with them, they all agreed. All, not one stood out.
Who were some of the builders?
Uh,
I mean, what size contractors were they?
I think Ben Crook was here from True Farm. Is Paul Somerville here as a developer, or maybe Lars may have
I
been
think
here.
Lars was here.
So they were in-town guys.
Yes.
Oh yeah, everybody
Yeah,
in town.
everyone-
Everybody.
Yeah, that's what I
We
was-
tried to
Yeah.
reach out. I think Marcus from Grace Electric may have been here.
Earl Somro, for, concrete and knowing the
Trying to
history of the
think who
building.
else.
Um,
But we had
All of them
7 or
felt
8
like
that
budget was,
not only the budget, but I think Ray Aho was here.
And I can't remember, there was another gentleman.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of. I think he was
I
from
get
that.
the idea.
But anyhow, they were all local. They said, we showed them what the plan was, the building. They says, yeah, it's a bare bones, not, as some people refer to it, Taj Mahal, whatever. It's really just a basic building with a carport, with a sally port on it. But as John was saying, when you look at, because I had one person after that first vote come to me and say, yeah, geez, I thought it was an expensive building. And when I explained to them is that we have utility three-phase service that goes back to that DPW building, right down the road here, that would have to get relocated. We have to redo the front, the access to that building, and the building, and tearing down. And they said, well, I didn't know that. And that's when I said to myself, I failed in communicating that. So that's why we've, at all of the public sessions we've had, we try and explain to them what it is that this money is going to. And when you talk about $2 million budget and monies is coming out of the fund balance, I mean, the rate on, when you say, you know, people living paycheck to paycheck, from memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think, and the value goes down each year, but I think the impact was 15 cents,
I
10
think
cents?
And that we were running the old rate numbers because the numbers came in lower than what was in the mailer. Yeah, I think it topped out at 20 cents per $1,000, and by the time it was done, you were at 10 cents or less per $1,000 over a 10-year. So within 10 years, it's paid off. And one of the other agreements is that we wouldn't even come to the town and start talking about a next phase until phase 1 was paid off. Meaning we have 10 years, we pay off phase 1, and then we see how the town feels. And at that point, if the fire station is at a point where it needs to be looked at that point we would be coming to the town, but we wouldn't be looking to do all site work again because it's already done. But yeah, I mean, you were looking at topping, 20 cents, and again, that was, I think we came in, the current rates came in, I think, almost half of what we had proposed. So those numbers would be less. You'd probably be starting off at 15 to 18 cents and down to a nickel by the end of the 10 years.
And it all depends when it passes and when it goes to the bond bank. The bond bank is the municipality that, it's the entity that puts bonds out to the public to buy, and then that's the rates that we get. And they were extremely low because of the market conditions.
So that's what we're trying to do, is get it when it was cheap. But that was the whole deal, is the one up there was 1.2, and that still included some site work and such, but you had a building that was there and you would just be moving around within that building as they did the work. But we weren't tearing down a building. But again, we'd be taking a potential taxable property off of the tax rolls for the town if we bought the property across the street. Where we don't collect taxes on this building anyway. So
Collect rent.
it just covers what we pay for rent across the street.
Yeah.
I think it's $1,000 different at the end of the year.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so I look forward to them meetings.
Mhm. You got my reply, right?
yeah.
Jay,
What's that?
you got my reply?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, whether like I said, it's a vocal majority or vocal minority, whatever. When you need 2/3 of the, not the total town, but 2/3 of the people that voted, it doesn't take much to upset that apple cart, and all of a sudden you can't pass it.
Yeah. I know my thought was, we do this $700,000 a year on roads, and we've got pretty well caught up on the roads. Let's do
Mhm.
that for the police station. 2 years, pay it off. And then someone said, no, you want 10-year bond. Makes more sense than a 10-year bond. I don't want to take any more of your time.
Yeah, it does actually end up being less of an impact on your taxes. So, but I understand what you're saying. So.
We look forward to the advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
Any other
I didn't have anything else.
No.
The non-public.
Non-public, motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A3. Matters were discussed in public likely adversely affect the reputation.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?